thinking it's drugs. I was like, okay, so this is a very advanced way to do that, just years of thinking of this. And come to find out, when I gave my speech in D.C. on that Saturday for the Disclosure Project with Dr. Greer, he's got a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, by the way. And this gentleman, I'm not going to give any detail. I know a little bit about him, but he works in some of these projects at some very controversial facilities. He's aware of what was going on. After I gave my presentation of this, he confirmed, he says, no, he's like, I don't want to leave Michael hanging out there, but I was not expecting to come and talk to you about this. And he went explaining what the operations do, why they do it, and what they were using them for. And he says, there's not drugs that they're putting in these shipping containers. He says it's humans.
Human trafficking.
Yes. His own words. And, of course. And he also wants to come forward, at least with him and 30 other people that are involved with that part of the work. But it was very disheartening to actually get that information relayed to me, because here I'm thinking for years it's drugs and it's a much sinister thing. But it makes sense because they use natural disasters that people are going to be missing anyway.
Yeah.
Scoop up people.
I mean, I've been covering human trafficking this year.
Right.
And that's, a lot of the human trafficking comes from third world countries in distress. You're in a third world area.
Yep.
In distress. Right after an earthquake would be, it's prime.
Yeah.
Prime time to do a human trafficking operation.
Right.
How big were the containers?
I would say probably 8 feet and 10 feet. 8 feet tall, 10 feet with him.
So like maybe half a Connex box?
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
And they were kind of like on the trailer that was underneath was kind of like a regular Humvee trailer that you would see kind of pull stuff, something like that.
How were they being lifted into the craft?
So they were driving onto this platform that was angled, so it would hit, and it just raise up, and they were just driving on this ramp.
Oh,
but
truck
the whole
would go
thing,
up?
Yeah, but the whole thing was a ramp.
Okay.
Like a circular ramp. And obviously I can't see what's on the other side of it, but I'm assuming because it's a circular pattern that it's going to be the same on the other side. Because they would drive onto this platform, and at that point I saw all the doors open, 4 guys would come out, and then I'd go back to what we're facing here with these guys searching our stuff, asking us questions, taking our IDs, trying to intimidate the crap out of us. And so I can see the guys come out of the truck. And that was making me think too, like, at a tactical advantage, we didn't have that. There's only 6 of us, basically trained infantry Marines. And there's these guys here that are, doing this operation and very skilled, very methodical, very calculated, very precise. And if there's 8 of them, and then all of a sudden every single truck has 4 of these guys, I know that it's not just these guys that are running the perimeter. They could have been 40 or 30 or 40 people.
Yeah.
Could have been a platoon-sized element. And the fact that we have no concealment, we barely have any concealment, because if we were to run and bank off the sides here to go to our flanks, they could just engage us. There's nothing to hide behind.
Yeah.
Vegetation ain't going to stop bullets, but... So there's a lot of questions I have too, because it's, obviously if we would have engaged them, then the whole rest of the force behind us would know about it because they'd have heard the commotion.
Yep. How many containers do you estimate were put into the craft?
4, because I saw 4 trucks.
4 containers?
Yeah. And there could have been more, but at that point where we saw, we could have, because we stumbled onto this thing. We ruined their operation, so to speak, because we weren't allowed to see that.
Let's talk about the craft.
Okay.
How big was it?
300 feet is what I'm estimating, about a football field. And the reason why I say this is because we flew on CH-53 Super Stallions. I'm sure you're familiar with those, your time as a SEAL. They're roughly 100 feet, all right? So from nose to tail, if you lined up 3 of them, it'd fit 3 of them under this craft. Because I can see, especially the operation behind us, you kind of see them off in the distance, so you try to gauge, as a Marine, you're always trying to judge distance, you know what I mean? Because if you're having to engage, but lo and behold, we end up having a surprise right here happen with these guys. But that's how I know it was around 300 feet.
Oh, good. And it was circular.
Circular. It's like an octagon because it had like corners on it. That was like an octagon shape, but still circular.
Could you see, was it one smooth piece of metal?
No.
Was it panels?
Panels. Yep.
Just describe more. Were there windows?
So
were there
openings?
openings?
Were not windows. Nothing I could see like that. It just had that Vanta black vent-looking things on each corner. Is all I saw with that. And it had like a octagonal scale pattern that went through it. It honestly reminded me kind of like a design for an F-22. Raptor.
Okay.
You know, like the top of it kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminded me of because it would transition those colors. So I suspect, you know, I've had people I've talked to about this to say, well, you know, Lockheed Martin has reverse engineered stuff that's circular. Raytheon, they have triangular craft. And he said it might have been Lockheed because Lockheed also made the F-22.
Interesting.
Similar design concept. Now that I think about it, right, because at this time you're not really thinking about it. You're like, I'm more concerned with these guys and who the hell they are. So after we witnessed the last truck going on there, and we're still dealing with that, I got searched already, of course, and I'm just paying attention to what's going on. I'm making sure my guys are good too. And all of a sudden, the trucks, we never saw them again. They were not on that platform. There was like boxes and stuff that were on that platform. And so I'm assuming they either drove off on the other side or disappeared or where they went. I don't know. But all of a sudden, we noticed that this platform raises off the ground by itself. It doesn't make any noise, by the way. It doesn't disturb anything. It's just,
Before it started gaining elevation,
yeah.
how high off the ground was this?
The actual craft,
Yes.
I would say probably 20 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, good distance. And the platform rose up, but I would say like the platform was up several feet, right? Probably maybe 5-6 feet, because it was, look, you know, from the distance, probably about half an inch.
I mean, I'm envisioning the way you're describing this, I'm envisioning an octagon.
Yep.
Rotating clockwise with a drop ramp similar to maybe something you would see on the back of a C-130, C-17, but circular.
But circular and separate. There's no cables. There's no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was the ramp attached to the craft?
No.
So there was just an opening.
There was just an opening. Like the bottom part of the craft, was what I'm assuming, because that's where I saw it lift up and go into. It was like the
Okay.
bottom part. It was like the floor itself was like the platform, and they were just rolled up, right? But at the same time, the top part leveled a little bit and went down to meet with this. And as that happened, you start to see it rise up past the tree line. And it's not like it's super fast and just rapid. It's just like kind of slow. As that's going on, the rotation has not changed. The audible hum has not changed. But
It's not like somebody hit the gas and you hear a different
yeah, it's nothing like
different
that.
noise. It's
No,
just
constant.
okay.
Each point on that octagonal shape started to illuminate colors. Like, and it was just one color per point. It was red, it was green, it was yellow, and it was blue. It was the only colors I saw, and it was rotating, right? As soon as it got to the top of the tree line, like cleared the trees, this thing shot off to the left. And to the left was the ocean, by the way. This was going west.
How far to the left was the ocean?
Probably a good mile and a half, maybe.
That's it?
Yeah, it
So
wasn't
you're
very-
right on the coastline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably, I would say, it could be a mile and a half to 3 miles, I'd estimate, because I mean, that's just estimation. I don't really know, because it took us a little bit when we landed into the near Padang City, because we landed at the airstrip, and then we took like a several-minute flight going from southwest to like northeast part, roughly. So I'd say probably a couple miles to kind of estimate. And like I said, it didn't change pitches of noise or anything, and it just completely shot off. I mean, it's just like a blur that went left. Didn't make a sonic boom like you'd see a fighter jet when you see the pressure that, you know, the way that happens. It didn't disturb any of the trees like rotor wash would do on a helo or a jet flying the map of the earth and leaving exhaust and blowing the, you know, you kind of see Top Gun movies when it cranks up on that.
propulsion.
Nothing. There were even coconuts that you could visibly see on these trees. None of them were disturbed.
No shit.
Yeah. Does that mean it's like,
Before we get to that,
yeah.
when you saw this thing take off, I mean, do you have any estimation of speed? Have you seen anything? I mean, was it faster than anything you've seen before?
Yeah.
Was it a
yeah.
normal speed? How?
No, it was faster. It was the fastest thing I've ever seen. It was, I would say, probably 4,000 or 5,000 miles an hour. I mean, it was instantaneous. It was just like it left a blur.
Okay.
You know, like a jet screaming by going as fast as it possibly could, you can still make the shape of it and still lock your eyes onto it as it's going. There's no way in hell you could lock your eyes onto this thing as it's moving. That's how fast it was.
Okay.
And eyesight, you know, something moving, your eyes are naturally going to pick up that motion. And this didn't do that. I mean, it was just like, it just left a very fast blur. And like I said, I've never seen anything like that. The way that it moved, the way that it didn't make any sound, completely, didn't change pitch of the hum or anything like that.
Did it go at an upward angle? Was it a straight line?
It just looked like a straight line from what I could see. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It wasn't like it went up in the sky or anything. It was just like went over the trees and was gone.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, knowing aircraft and things like that, it just wasn't something normal. Something completely faster, something doesn't make any sound. I mean, radar signature, I have no idea. But there's theories that maybe the design of it could not reflect radar signals. I mean, I don't know how that go. I'm not, I don't work in that project or anything like that, but it's just something that's very odd to see. Very, very alarming.
Did the lights stay on as it took off?
Yep.
That,
But you couldn't even see the blurs of lights even. It was just this black blur that just left.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, it was creepy. It was fucking creepy to see.
Yeah.
And, of course, we're like dumbfounded because you've never seen anything like this. And this is like some Hollywood shit, Make the ships from Independence Day look like a joke, with how fast this thing was. So it was very, very, very weird to see that. And like I said, as we were ordered to turn towards the slope that we came down, and that's when I thought it was it. I thought they were going to smoke us, and they kept saying that, we can kill you right now. They're as this is going on, they're talking shit. They're looking at us. They're taking pictures. They're doing, everything that they're trying to do to clear us. So as we turn this, and all of a sudden, I see a sling pass over my head. I'm like, oh fuck, they're going to strangle me. But that wasn't the case. They actually tightened it so well that when they placed it, and it's crossbody, and obviously the buttstock of the rifle is up on the right shoulder, and the muzzle's kind of more towards your left. And they tightened the sling so well that if you try to get it off, it's going to struggle, right? And they started putting the magazines in, and they put all 6 of them in our vest, but they put it in a way that wasn't tactile. They put them like right side up where you can see the brass, right? Because brass to the grass is usually what we always train our Marines to do. So you just take it out, pop it in, boom, right? And they did in the case it would be tactical. It wouldn't be a tactical advantage to do that. So by the time you get your weapon off, try to put a magazine in and charge it, you're already going to get smoked.
Yeah.
So
Were you were standing up when they did this?
Yes. Yep. And when I saw that sling come over, I mean, it was like, fuck, I thought they were going to strangle me.
Were they talking to you as they were doing this?
Yes. That's when they were saying they're going to, smoke us. They're going to kill us. They could shoot us, leave us here to die, stuff like that.
Why do you think they were doing? I mean, it sounds like they were taunting almost.
They were, and I think my personal opinion is I think they really wanted to kill us. But if they made any, because they didn't have suppressors, they had M4 A4s, they had like the high speed setup, they had actual ACOGs, they had the honeycombs on them, they had the PEC 16s, which is a step up from what we had. They had steel magazines. Their weapons were like they were brand new.
Do they have nods?
No. They had ball caps, though.
Ball caps?
Yep. They had no insignias, nothing that would signify what their rank was, nothing that would signify what branch if they were. There's nothing to identify. And, law enforcement agencies will typically try to be uniform with all black, so you can't really identify who they are specifically. And it's like how these guys were doing the same thing. Because I know in AOs, at least where you have friendlies, you want to identify who's what, because that's how you're going to coordinate between everybody, if who's friendly, who's not. So if you're having to do anything like airstrikes, close air support, CASEVACs, you know what to say and what they look like. Paint the picture for what you're getting into to provide other people that intel. And these guys were just uniform black, ball caps, and it's just, it's very obvious that these guys didn't want to be identified, but they had American dialects, they had American lingo, similar to what Marines would use, or at least military. So that's why my suspicion is I think that these guys at one point were uniform military, and maybe they got swept into this program, whatever it is.
Could you see their faces?
I did. Three of the guys had facial hair, right? Kind of stubble. Some of them kind of not really long beards, but like an operator look, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rest of the guys didn't. Some of them had kind of blonde hair, at least you can see from right here. Some of them had like black hair, and then just regular white complexion. Some of them had blue eyes, some of them had brown eyes, and I think one guy that I saw had, he was the one that was mainly focused in on us as we were getting searched. And you can see he had kind of like grayish blue eyes. So I don't know what military force. I mean, obviously it's not conventional.
Yeah.
Because, the question, if they ever come out and they decide to ever do this, and say, yeah, I was there, it was these guys, I would have a question. The question would be, why did you let us go? Or what were you guys thinking? Or why were you guys doing this, for the matter? Because this isn't something that, me consciously, there's a lot of things, especially finding out that this happens to do with human trafficking. Morally, I could never do that.
Yeah.
That's a touchy subject for me.
They might not know.
Yeah. And that's just it, too. I mean, they could have. I mean, maybe the guys in the trucks were more of the darker side of things that were doing the hands-on, and these guys were securities. I mean, there's so many theories with this. I've seen some flack on Reddit about this. And you got all these armchair quarterbacks like, oh, I wouldn't have surrendered my weapon. Oh, yeah? So you get pulled over by a cop. And he's got his gun drawn in. Because, there's some people that's their interaction with police because they're known to be violent people. The cop is not going to take any chances. They're going to pull out their sidearm and they're going to approach the vehicle like this. Tell you to get the fuck out. Right? Are you going to chance anything if this guy is shooting you? If he's holding you at gunpoint?
No.
No, you got kids, you got a wife, you got a bunch of stuff to live for. I know these Marines had the same thing. But it's always these people who are going to talk this shit who are not there. Because I know for a fact that I'm here today talking to you about this. I was here, talking to the Pentagon and talking to all these other people about this to testify to them and tell them what happened. And I'm glad that, I'd rather get the flack than to have to sit there and actually, whatever story they would have spun up to say that, maybe one Marine got PTSD or something, decided to kill his own squad and then kill himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, whatever they would have spun it to be. If these guys have this kind of technology and these resources, they can do anything.
Yeah.
They're above the law, clearly. So as they gave us our stuff back and we're going up this slope, they're still talking shit. They're still saying, we could kill you. Don't fucking look back or we're going to smoke you. So as soon as we went over the top and all of a sudden we didn't, they weren't pursuing us and we fucking hightailed it. We ran down this fucking slope, trying not to trip over shit, go to the LZ, and there were still helicopters flying. They were flying relatively low with the shipments that they had that were attached, and then they were landing, dropping the stuff off, and then they were taking off, right? And they were just coming and going back and forth. There was a gunnery sergeant there that was not in my unit. I think he was attached to the ship. It might have been kind of like their logistical support unit or whatever it is because I know each ship has a logistical support for Marines, right? That are on the ship, either active security, whatever it is. There was a gunnery sergeant there, and he was like fucking pissed because we showed back up and we weren't supposed to. And then we had our weapons, so what were we conditioned for? We tried to play dumb, so obviously we kind of like set up a perimeter and then we adjusted ourselves. Some of my guys, they'd help us get our stuff unslung and then we'd load it back up and, act like everything was normal. But I can tell everybody's faces were like, what the fuck? And stuff is still going on to this day, which I'm sure it is. Because if they're, come to find out, and I know you probably know this, human trafficking is the biggest revenue generator for these guys, for these organizations. Second's drugs, third's weapons. So if they're hitting all three, and obviously they're not going to want to give up their operations being known for that because it's illegal. It's not going to sit very well in the public eye. A lot of people have children. I personally don't have kids, but I know you as a dad would not fucking stand for that kind of shit. Yeah. Because then you have the thought in your head that it's going to be my kids are going to end up like this. That potentially could. It's not a very comfortable thing people realize. And having them known to see this happen, it sucks. And this today and what I've been doing, it becomes hell. I've had numerous encounters with fucking helicopters hovering over my house. They were hovering over my dad's house. They get so low where they rattle the walls, scare the shit out of the animals that we've got. His dogs were going fucking crazy at that point. And he was concerned because he was home and he was like, I've never heard anything like that. So, I've taken videos of this too, but seeing Blackhawks, seeing regular black helicopters that don't even have insignias on them, nothing. And they're just sitting there. But the thing about it that is at least noticeable about this, and it's just kind of there's a hysterical factor to this, how much money they're fucking spending on this to happen, to try to either intimidate me or anybody else for that matter. There's some elected officials and even some government officials I know that are having the same thing happen to them because they've told me about it personally through our encrypted source of what we talked about. So they instructed me that anytime that something like this happens that I could record it, take pictures, because they'll see the timestamps of everything taken and let them know the time and they'll investigate it. Because they can have access to the FAA systems and among other systems that can actually relay where these people are going. They can listen into their comms, because they have to guide through the FAA air traffic. If they can make this kind of stuff, imagine what they can do if they weaponize it. You know, so it's something that, you know, this needs to stop, because all it's doing is just it's just portraying fear out to people.
Yeah.
They did this with COVID. You see the response of that. People are still living this way, living like COVID exists to this day, which it probably does, but it's not nearly as damaging as what people are saying.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as was hyped up.
No, it wasn't. And you still have people fucking afraid of their lives. And this is the thing that is sad to see that. So this whole, now that people are thinking about this going on, now that all of a sudden worst case is going to happen. It's just this whole fear being portrayed in the media to try to scare the shit out of people, either get ratings or try to get people tuned into their networks, is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's more, you know, it's more of a personal game for them because they get money off of views. So
Now that you've set the record straight, do you think you'll go on any of these media outlets?
no,
No?
I'm not looking
why?
against all I see on social media. That's why I'm glad I'm off of that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm glad I'm off, because guess what? I don't get to see that anymore. I get to focus on what I'm trying to do. And for me, having people reach out to me that have open minds and they're like, you know what, I actually heard about something like this happening in Vietnam. Or they're like, I heard about this happening in 2004. And then there's people who are coming out that are participating in these operations unknowingly because they think the constitutionality of it's legal, when it's not. And that's why this is happening, because these people think that at the end of the day, they're doing something that's oversaw. And they don't know that degree. It's very compartmentalized, as you know, being a CIA. You know, they only know what they're told, and they only know what they're briefed on and what they're allowed to have access to. It depends on what they're doing.
That's how they keep it secret.
Yes, they do. And not everybody's going to know that. You know, so I hope that anybody who's in those industries understands that, you know, if there's anything that seems off, you know, don't approach it how the guy that was at the Pentagon that talked about U.S. forces being involved in Ukraine. I'm sure you heard about that because you saw FBI HRT raid his house and took him into custody. And he's probably going to sit in prison for the rest of his life because of revealing classified information on these platforms.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. And these guys that are with me that are doing this, they're not doing it either. And the thing is because he did it that way means it's illegal because it's classified material to a degree. It may be illegal, but he screwed that up. Now, the way that we approached it was because we contacted the government and said, hey, this is what I know. This is what I was subject to. And they were, of course, because I approached it in the right way, they're going to reward you with the protection, with the law that they passed to make sure that you are well protected, regardless of what happens in an illegal fashion. So these other whistleblowers need to understand that. So they can come forward. They're going to have the same protections. That's why I can paint them a picture and tell them what to expect. I can point them in the direction of who they need to talk to. So these other whistleblowers need to understand that. So they can come forward. They're going to have the same protections. That's why I can paint them a picture and tell them what to expect. I can point them in the direction of who they need to talk to. You know, and just the humanity needs to understand that this false narrative that's going to be portrayed in the media, such as alien invasions and stuff like that, it's been planned since the 50s. There's documentations talking about this. As far as SAIC, or Science Applications International Corporation, talks about the stagecraft. You know, honestly, if you're somebody who's such a high developed species or something like that, it's like walking by ants.
Yeah.
Are you going to fuck with them? No, you're just like, there's fucking ants. They just walk by. I think like the same thing that they do with us.
Yeah.
Why are they going to fucking try to fuck with us? But the same thing, we all of a sudden start shooting them down and then reverse engineering their stuff and then trying to weaponize it. And then we're using it against each other for nefarious activities, trying to use fucking, you know, these advanced projects to do very illegal, very dangerous stuff. It's just, it blows my mind how much this goes